In today's battle report, we will be pitting a Kasrkin team against the Exaction squad. Don't get too excited, this was recorded before the Kasrkin received their Q1 2023 buff, so they will still be rocking the lower wounds and reduced elite point generation. I will be piloting them, however, against my friend's fresh Exaction squad. I will be fielding a sergeant with a chainsword and plasma pistol, equipped with an adrenaline shot. I will be using a full contingent of specialists, including a combat medic to try and keep the papier-mâché soldiers alive. He'll also have an adrenaline shot. A demo trooper with an adrenaline shot to try and set up area denial in clutch situations. A recon trooper for the no-cover bonuses, as well as his second scouting option. A Vox trooper to hand out some much-needed APL, and a sharpshooter equipped with a long-range scope to strike from stealth. I'll also be fielding 3 gunners, a plasma with an adrenaline shot for ranged face melting, a grenade launcher with an adrenaline shot for the blast and AP options, and a hotshot volley to lay down some suppression fire. We finish off with a normal Kasrkin trooper. I gave him an adrenaline shot and a frag grenade for a cheeky little trick. More on that later. My friend's Exaction squad will consist of all the specialists possible. He chose to forego the shield-bearing subductors until the box is released separately. He'll have a Proctor Exactant with a shotgun equipped with a Phosphor Lumen. A Castigator with a Phosphor Lumen as well, looking to arrest some unruly Kasrkin. The medic. He'll be looking downrange with a grenade launcher gunner. As well, he'll be taking a heavy stubber gunner with a frag grenade to keep the pressure on. He'll be fielding a Leash Master and a Cyber Mastiff combo, reducing the total needed activations, and hopefully tying down some aggressive Kasrkin units. He'll be fielding a Malacator, supporting from the backline and keeping the capture points held down. A Marksman, because putting a big silencer on a shotgun always makes it into a sniper rifle. He'll be equipped with a stun grenade. He'll be fielding a Revelatum equipped with manacles to try and get some early movement and arrests. And he'll round out his list with a Vox Signifier to help out his team's low APL. 2 Imperial teams will face off on a flank setup using the secure mission type. Again, this is pre-Q1 2023 rules, so the points limit on the main mission of secure is still 12 for each team. Flank as a setup will provide the match with early aggression, as the long edge is used for the deployment. This should favor the shotgun-toting Exaction squad, who will want to play from within 6 inches of the Kasrkin. The terrain setup will consist mostly of the heavy trait, outside of the loose boxes and pipework. A large construct cuts the table's shooting lines in half, and a small vantage point tower enticingly sits on the eastern edge. Teams at the ready, so let's get into it. The first initiative is rolled with a 4-1 in favor of the Kasrkin. In an attempt to subvert the norm, I choose the role of defender. I choose the southern half of the board. Hopefully, using the initial setup of a squad, I might force my opponent to place his units in ways that I can more easily trap them or potentially control spacing. It is a risk, but I need to explore this approach. And first activation is determined in the scouting phase anyway, so going defender can only cause issue in the case of a scouting tie. I use my barricades to reinforce the western alley around point 2. The Exaction squad reinforce their eastern front near point 4 and 6. The first wave of units set up on the Kasrkin side consist of a Vox trooper placed center deployment in conceal, a trooper to his east hidden in conceal by a pipe, and a recon trooper to the west in conceal behind a barricade. The Exaction squad reply with the marksman to the east in conceal in the ruined building, the gunner with the stubber in conceal at center deployment, and the Malacator to the west in conceal behind a small wall. The Kasrkin demo trooper shows up behind the eastern generator in conceal. The hotshot volley gunner in conceal shows up near the recon trooper. The plasma gunner pops up next to the Vox trooper in conceal. The Exaction Vox Signifier in conceal takes his place on the western small wall. The Leash Master in conceal sets up on the center pipe, and his Cyber Mastiff pops up in conceal near some boxes to his east. The Revelatum also pops up on the far western side behind a ruin hab building in conceal. The Kasrkin sharpshooter takes a position on the eastern pipe in conceal, trying to limit the eastern front's forward momentum. The grenade launcher sets up center field in engage. The Sarge sets up near point 2 in conceal. And last up is the medic in conceal, rounding out the group near point 2. The Exaction squad finish up with the Castigator in the far east in conceal. A little bit of a misplay on positioning if the Kasrkin can relocate the sniper or land a good grenade launcher shot. The Proctor sets up in conceal on the western wall. The grenade gunner sets up in the ruins on the east in conceal. And the final deployment is for the medic, and he shows up in the far west in conceal. A very cagey setup from both teams. Heavy reliance on silent weapons in turn 1 with a possible big open from a grenade launcher on the Kasrkin side. This was a most likely outcome, as the Exaction squad works best from within 6 inches of the enemy, and the Kasrkin usually need a turn to build up resources and unleash a very one-sided feeling turn 2. The scouting phase has the Kasrkin choosing Fortify and the Exaction going Recon, giving the Exaction the first activation. They also choose to use Long Arm of the Emperor's Law for a command point, preventing my use of the scouting option. However, the Kasrkin Recon Trooper allows me to pick a second scouting option, so I choose Fortify again. The barricade is placed on top of the middle vantage building near the stairs up. My friend got a little distracted by moving his Revelatum at this point and forgot his dash. He's still learning, but doing a lot better this game. With everything in place, we enter turn 1. Command points and Kasrkin elite points are generated, and both teams hold off using any strategic ploys. Not much use in them when both teams are majority in conceal. Better to build up for future use. In the TAC Ops phase, the Exaction squad reveals Eliminate Guards. Normally we sit on this TAC Op to reveal it later and catch the opponent off guard. But by revealing it early, the Exaction squad is giving me the hard choice of considering who I want to end the turn still on a capture point, as they will be a viable target for this. The Kasrkin reveals Assassinate Target. The Exaction squad pick their marksman as the target. A good choice considering that unit tends to stay back and in conceal. First up for the activation, the Arbites Proctor places his Nuncio Aquila token on point 1 in preparation for a later capture. He then moves south towards some light cover near point 3. The Kasrkin Sergeant activates and moves to the barricade on point 2 and captures the point. The Arbites Revelatum activates and the first mechanics error of the game happens. My friend misread the bonus the Aquila token provides as allowing him to perform a mission action for 1 less. This is not the case. The Aquila only reduces the accounted for enemy APL in the area to determine point control. It also increases the cost of mission actions and pickup actions for enemies. We move forward under this misunderstanding. Using the stated error, the Revelatum spends an action point to capture point 1 and then reveals the Gather Evidence tack by using Gather Evidence for free. The Malacator, Revelatum, and Mastiff can all perform the Gather Evidence action on a capture point that has not been used for this yet. By the end of the game, if one of the units that has done this is still active, they will score 1 VP. 2 if 2 units achieve this. This TAC Op is a big gamble for low health teams like this. He'll have to protect the units that achieve this going forward. Normally, both those actions would have cost a point, but with the error, the Revelatum is moved back into a protected spot. The Kasrkin Trooper activates and moves to point 5, tucked away behind some boxes, and captures the point. The Leashmaster activates and changes his Mastiff's command to Swift from defensive. He then moves to point 4 and captures. The Mastiff then activates after its master, keeping the Exaction squad total activations down. It moves up to point 4 and gathers evidence. 2 units on the field that need to die before the end to keep them from gaining VP. Spotting the misplaced Castigator, the Kasrkin Sharpshooter activates and dashes to the far end of his pipe, getting full vision on the Imperial 5-0, opening fire for the first combat dice roll of the game. The Sharpshooter puts up 3 hits and a miss. Choosing to spend 1 elite point, he turns a 5 to a crit, triggering the 3 mortal wounds as an opener. The Castigator responds with no saves. 12 damage from the shots, and the Castigator decides to rely on his zealous dedication, 6-up Feel No Pain, to see if it lives. Out of 9 dice rolled so far, only 2 are passed, letting 7 damage through and incapacitating the Castigator. The Vox Signifier activates and hands an APL to the distant grenade launcher gunner and moves south to tuck in on point 1. The Kasrkin Demo Trooper moves up close to the tower and passes its final action. The Heavy Stubber Gunner moves up to support the Mastiff on the barricade. The Kasrkin Plasma Gun moves up to the boxes just south of point 6 near the tower. The Arbites grenade launcher moves up to a barricade north of point 6, preparing for the clash to come. The Kasrkin medic moves up to point 2 and passes for its last action. The Malacator activates and moves towards the eastern side of the field to reinforce the more outnumbered soldiers. The Kasrkin recon trooper moves up close to point 2 and passes with his last point, giving him more line of sight for his Warden Auspex. The Arbites medic begins to rotate to the east, sticking in cover. The hotshot volley gun takes up position on top of the middle vantage point behind the placed barricade. The Arbites sharpshooter activates and repositions behind a pipe on the far eastern side of the kill zone as the final activation for the Exaction squad. The last Kasrkin activations begin with the Vox trooper, providing an APL to both the grenade launcher gunner and the trooper on point 5. This will be key for the trooper in turn 2. The grenade launcher then activates, hoping to find a good position to fire, but after a bunch of cover line checks showing he has no targets, he wastes the extra APL and simply repositions near the sharpshooter. This ends turn 1. Only one kill on the Exaction squad from the Kasrkin sharpshooter, but it was against one of the more devastating close-range fighters in the Exaction squad. Both teams only managed to muster up 2 victory points on mains. Instead, they struggle to find footing in positions that will hopefully lead to a devastating swing in turn 2. The Arbites are best from within 6 inches, and they even override cover to shoot at concealed units within 4 inches of them with a strategic ploy in play, twice the distance that any other team needs to pull this off. But the Kasrkin can also show incredible strength from mid-range as well, and there is a bit of a trap I have planned here to show off one of the big combos this team has against the lower health, more numbered units like the Exaction squad. It all comes down to how turn 2 progresses. A big initiative roll, and the Kasrkin take it 5-2. Strategic points and elite points are generated. The Kasrkin use clearance sweep. A token is placed near point 4 in a way to try and get as many of the Arbites on it under the 4-inch radius. This will allow for 1 elite point to be used for free during each shooting attack. This is key in the wording. The Arbites respond with inviolate jurisdiction. As long as an Arbites unit is within 2 inches of an objective marker or an enemy, they can re-roll 1 defensive dice. The Kasrkin then use reposition on the plasma gunner, giving several Kasrkin a free dash they must perform immediately. This allows the trooper to move closer to the middle before the turn even starts. The plasma gunner repositions onto point 5, and the grenade launcher moves close to the demo trooper. The Arbites use Terminal Decree. This gives them a reroll when firing within 4 inches of an enemy. The Kasrkin and Arbites both pass. On to TAC Ops reveals. Kasrkin reveal eliminate guards. The Mastiff is marked as the target. Arbites have nothing more to reveal, but they do mark the Kasrkin Sergeant for eliminate guards. The Kasrkin reveal faction TAC Op 1, vital objective. Point 6 is marked as the vital point. Having control of it at the end of the turn will provide the team with 1 victory point on the TAC Op. Doing this once more will finish it. And with all reveals complete, the Kasrkin trooper takes the first activation. He starts with 3 APL due to the Vox trooper's buff from turn 1. He then dashes to point 6 and throws a frag grenade at the Mastiff. So this is the Kasrkin frag combo. A Kasrkin trooper can use 1 elite point per shooting attack it makes for free. The clearance sweep provides another free elite point on all targets within a 4-inch radius as long as the Kasrkin unit is also in that 4-inch radius. Every attack that occurs from the blast is considered another shooting attack. For every unit that gets hit here, 2 elite points will be usable without tearing into the elite pool I currently have. Let's see how this plays out. First up, the Mastiff. It will be able to retain a save from this, but the other 2 targets won't. The Trooper lands 1 crit, 2 hits, and a miss. Upping the miss to a crit only costs 2 points from the pool. The Mastiff responds by fishing for crit rolls and not retaining. 2 saves and a fail that gets re-rolled to a save due to the strategic ploy that is in place. This only allows for 1 hit and crit to go through for 5 damage on the 7 health unit. Wounded, but not out. Against the Stubber, 2 crits, a hit, and a miss. Using the free 2 as well as 2 from the pool, the roll is upped to 3 crits and a hit. The Stubber responds with 1 save. It is out of range of the capture point, so no reroll. The Stubber falls to 9 damage. The Leash Master starts with 3 hits and a miss. The miss is up to a crit using 2 hero points. The Leash Master responds with 2 crit saves and a fail that is re-rolled into a fail for free. 4 damage. All in all, 1 dead unit and 2 injured units for a low cost of elite points is a good trade-off. With his last action point, he tucks in behind the tower. He is currently in control of the vital point, and I felt keeping him alive to maintain this was important. The Arbites Marksman uses Take Aim to allow his gun to gain the Balanced rule and fires on the Demo Trooper. After a reroll from Balanced, he puts up 3 hits. A command point is used to reroll a miss into a miss. The Demo Trooper responds with 2 saves. A command point is spent to reroll into a success and all damage is removed. The Kasrkin grenade launcher activates and moves into position to shoot a frag grenade at the Leash Master. After spending 1 elite point, 3 hits goes through. After the free reroll, 2 saves. 2 damage, still alive. The Mastiff, after 1 elite point, goes to 4 hits. Dog is down. Eliminate guards point earned. This is a key target for TAC Ops denial. The Malacator at the back takes a hit and a crit after 4 elite points are spent. Failing all saves, he spends a command point on a 50-50 and gets it. 4 damage goes through, injuring the Malacator. The Arbites Medic, sensing danger, moves and dashes behind some boxes by point 4. Not to disappoint, his Imperial Spider Sense, the Kasrkin Plasma Gunner, activates, moves into a better position, and opens fire on the Malacator. I decided against using Overcharge because I don't want to risk taking mortal wounds. For my frugalness, the gods of RNG have provided my Plasma Gunner with 2 crits and 2 hits. Rolling 1 less save due to the AP on the Plasma Gun, the Malacator would be guaranteed to take a minimum of 10 damage. The medic ability is triggered, keeping the Malacator at 1 health and hitting both units with a -1 to APL as a debuff until their next activations. The Arbites Grenade Launcher Gunner activates and tries to start taking out close targets. He moves just north of the tower and opens fire on the Demo Trooper. 3 hits and a miss. Using Terminal Decree, he does get a reroll here. Sadly, a miss into a miss. 2 failed saves becomes 12 damage taken. Demo Trooper down. The Kasrkin Vox Trooper activates and provides APL to the Hotshot Volley Gun as well as the Sergeant. The injured Leash Master activates and hobbles away into a corner for safety. The Kasrkin Recon Trooper activates and marks the Malacator for the no cover rule and passes his last action point. The Exaction Squad Proctor activates and uses an action point to move his token to point 3. He then moves up and captures the point due to the error from turn 1. The Hotshot Volley activates, moves and dashes to the far side of the radar structure's vantage point and opens fire on the beaten and battered Malacator. 2 hits and a crit activates the gun's P1, guaranteeing the Malacator is finally dead. The Revelatum responds by moving to some boxes and shooting at the Hotshot Gunner, landing 2 crits and a hit. The Hotshot Gunner responds with a crit and a regular save. Now this is my mistake. Listening back to the game, my friend did say it was Mortal Wounds 2. My brain, for some reason, thought Mortal Wounds 3. So I would have taken 5 damage and survived here, but I assumed I had taken 7 and died. My bad. The Kasrkin Medic activates and moves up to the boxes near point 3 and puts some shots into the Proctor. 3 misses and a crit. The Proctor puts up 1 save and with his strategic ploy reroll gets the other one he needed and avoids all damage. The Arbites Vox moves up to support his leader and opens fire on the medic. A crit and 2 hits. My disheartened opponent forgot his active Terminal Decree here for the reroll. The medic puts up 2 saves and takes the crit damage of 4. Injured, but still kicking. The Sergeant activates and gains 3 action points from the Vox buff. The Kasrkin are not strangers to heroism. Feeling the need to show his soldiers what a real hero looks like, he spends an action point to open fire on the Vox Signifier with a supercharged plasma pistol. A crit, 2 hits, and an overheat miss. With the last elite point, the overheat is converted just to a simple miss. A guaranteed minimum of 10 damage spells death for the Vox Signifier. Not finished yet, the Sergeant revs up his chainsword and charges the Proctor. With his last action point, he triggers a fight. Landing 2 crits and a hit, the Proctor only musters up 1 hit as a response. With his opening attack, the Kasrkin Sergeant parries the hit and puts through 10 damage, ending the Proctor's life. The Revelatum uses its Overwatch on the Kasrkin Sergeant. With the reduced ballistic skill, he lands 1 crit and 3 misses. Overwatches are still considered shooting attacks, and being just in range of the Sarge allows him to reroll once. Sadly, it is a miss. The Sarge fails all his saves and takes 3 damage total. For the last activation of turn 2, the Kasrkin sharpshooter dashes slightly over so it can see the shoulder of the Arbites grenade launcher. Having that little bit of vision allows him to open fire on the engaged unit as the tower isn't wide enough to cause obscuring. Rolling a crit and a hit with 2 misses, a command point is spent on neutralized target. As the Arbites unit is both not ready and under an engage order, I am able to reroll any attack dice from the shooting attack, upping the rolls to 2 crits and 2 hits. 6 mortal wounds from the crits and at least 1 instance of 3 damage going through spells guaranteed death for the Arbites gunner, as well as the end of turn 2. An absolutely brutal round. The Kasrkin still maintain their 2 capture points, but they do pick up attack op point for being in control of point 6. The Arbites did gain point 3, even though it was based on an error. We'll just go with this for now. I imagine if we understood the Aquila token more, a few actions would have been taken differently that would have secured the points anyway. We enter turn 3 with 2 things in mind. Either a miracle turnaround may occur that shuts the Kasrkin out of points, or the Kasrkin hold out and cruise control to victory. Being completely spent on elite points won't make turn 3 any easier for them though. The initiative roll keeps the Kasrkin going on a 4-1. Strategic ploy and elite points are generated. The Kasrkin open with clearance sweep near the Arbites marksman. The Arbites activate terminal decree for their last command point. The Kasrkin use reposition for their last command point. The plasma gunner is selected, allowing the grenade launcher, trooper, and marksman a free dash along with the plasma gunner. With no more points to spend, we move to tack reveals. Point 4 is marked as the Kasrkin vital point. The leash master is also selected for eliminate guards. The Kasrkin sergeant is selected for the Arbites eliminate guards target. No other reveals can occur. For the first activation, the Sarge goes and shoots the Revelatum with an overcharged plasma pistol. A crit and 3 hits guarantees death and locks the Arbites out of their faction tac op. The sergeant then moves to point 1 behind the wall. The Arbites marksman dashes over to fully see the grenade launcher gunner, who was just outside of obscuring from the tower, based on him being a little bit away from it. 3 hits put up, the grenade launcher is unable to make any saves and takes 12 damage. Grenade launcher down. The Kasrkin sharpshooter activates and dashes over to get the leash master in his sights. Cover line just barely breezing by the corner of the building. 4 hits will see the leash master incapacitated, but the nearby medic triggers and keeps him alive at 1 health. The leash master activates and rotates closer to the medic. The Kasrkin Vox goes and hands out an action point to the trooper and the plasma gunner. The medic activates and opens fire on the plasma gunner. 2 hits from the 4. The Kasrkin puts up 1 save and takes 2 damage. In response, the plasma gunner activates with his 3 action points, captures point 6 and moves over to within 2 inches of the Arbites marksman and opens fire. Overheat set. A crit, 2 hits, and an overheat that gets converted thanks to the clearance sweep and the last elite points into just another hit. Guaranteed death on the marksman, scoring 2 points on the tac op. The Arbites medic overwatches the Kasrkin troop, needing 6s only. Life is tough from long range with a shotgun. 1 crit rolled. The trooper rolls 2 crits and a save in response. No damage. The Kasrkin recon activates and marks the leash master for the no cover rule. It then moves up the field a little. The leash master gets its overwatch against the Kasrkin trooper, managing to roll 1-6, and with the trooper responding with no saves, it takes 2 damage. For the final action before scoring, the trooper finally makes its move to point 4. It captures the point and opens fire on the leash master. Landing a crit and a hit, the leash master makes its saves and persists in living. Scoring is called. The Arbites weren't able to make much headway at carving out some ground. The relentlessly battered leash master ensured that the APL on both himself and his medic would be too low to be useful for the round. The forward positioned marksman also became easy pickings for the plasma gunner. I'm sure you can guess the winner, but let's check the score to see the difference. Kasrkin with 17 and the Arbites with 8. Now this is a best case scenario score for the Arbites. Their last TAC op was Headhunter, but they had no way of getting to my Sarge. Their faction TAC op units were all dead, and they had no way of scoring on eliminate guards anymore. So their TAC ops were locked out. For the final turn, if by some miracle they managed to kill my trooper and take point 4, I would have been able to use my Vox to ensure the capture of all 3 points to the west and the 2 southern points on the east, leaving the Arbites the 1. Since I was unable to kill the Leash Master in turn 3 and no enemy units are on points, I would be locked out of the last point on eliminate guards. Again, this game was recorded before the Q1 2023 data slate. The Kasrkin score would have been up 1 more point in the new rules due to the main point max being 16 instead of 12 now. Truly brutal. When my friend gets his hands on some shield bearers, I'd like to play into the Arbites again. I truly feel like having the strong melee units can make the team devastating by locking down scary units like the Plasma Gunner or the Sergeant. I can't wait to try the Kasrkin more, especially after the buffs. If you enjoyed this battle report and are interested in more Kill Team videos and potentially other games, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. If you're feeling saucy, make sure to unleash hell on that like button as well. And let me know in the comments below if you're interested in seeing other teams in future battle reports or potentially any team overviews. I am looking into starting up some videos going over team synergies going forward. We here at Kimmerix Project are also looking forward to Warhammer 40k's 10th edition release, and will hopefully be able to put out videos shortly after the rules release. Would be fun. Thanks again for watching. I am Kimmerix, and I'll see you in the next one.